Welcome IED students. We are going to do some statistics and use a Google Spreadsheet to do so. On your calendar, under the appropriate date, for right now it's going to be Thursday, November 5th, you will find a link, statistics. You should have already found that link, I guess, if you're watching this video, as the video link that I'm making right now will go here. I'd like you to choose the sample data. That is a Word doc. I've got some data in. Click that. It should download. It will appear down below. Click that to open it. It is a Word document. You can click Enable Editing. I would like you to highlight this. The data here, if you're wondering, we just had Halloween, so we are looking at the number of KitKats found in Halloween bags. So a group of happy trick-or-treaters were surveyed to find out how many KitKats were in their bag at the end of the night. And these are the responses. I'm going to take this data, we're going to copy it from here, we're going to go to Google Sheets and paste it into there. Click, drag, highlight, press Ctrl C to copy, go back to Google Chrome, open a new tab. You can search for Google Sheets if you need. I have it bookmarked. I would highly recommend that using Google Chrome you sign in like I do. Under your settings, you can go to Bookmarks, Show Bookmarks bar. Your bookmarks will follow you to any computer that has Google Chrome. You can sign into the Chrome browser and you can have all your bookmarks here. You can right click, you can create a folder, and within that folder you can put similar links. Anyway, I've got one for Google where I keep quick links to docs, sheets, slides, all these things that we use. So I'm going to open Google Sheets, a new tab. I'm going to choose blank. I would like you to go down to A10. A spreadsheet is a big array of cells. Okay, we have columns and rows for putting data. I'm going to go to A10. I have a reason. We're going to put some things above there. And we're going to paste. And at the top of the Word document, you might have seen that it said to not hit Control V for paste, but Control Shift V. So please do that, and you should get your data. I'm going to undo real quick. If you had hit Control V, just because of a formatting issue and copying from Word, you would have gotten a blank cell in between. So Control Z to undo, and Shift Control V is a special paste and puts our data there. I'm going to go ahead and, while it's all highlighted, I'm going to choose this option right here for my horizontal alignment, and I'm going to make it all in the middle just because it looks nice. I can resize a column by putting my cursor in between the A and B and making it wider. I'm going to make it a little wider, and I'm going to type in now, starting at the top, some things that we're going to calculate. Mean first, median, mode, standard deviation, max, min, and range. Instead of going through and calculating these things by hand, we're going to use formulas or functions in the spreadsheet to calculate these things for us on this data set. Perhaps this is something you've done before, perhaps not. In another video, you should have learned and discussed what mean, median, and mode is. In a separate video, we will explain standard deviation. But for right now, mean, median, and mode are all measures of central tendency. To perform a calculation in a spreadsheet, you first hit the equal sign. Highlight the cell you want to be on. Okay. Hit the equal sign. And now the spreadsheet knows that you're about to write a formula where it's going to perform a calculation and not just keep what you typed into the cell. So the mean is also known as the average. And in Google Sheets, that's the formula or the function name for calculating the mean is average. You type in average, and you can see it's already finding that it has some functions it's finding, and if you hover over them, it tells you about them. It says the numerical average value in a data set, ignoring text. So after you type the name of the function, you then have to open a parenthesis. We're telling Google Sheets to calculate the average of what? Of a data set. We define the data set that we want to perform this function by putting it inside a parenthesis. Now, the nice thing is you don't have to type here. You can now use your mouse and we can select the data set. I'm going to click and hold on the first cell. I'm going to drag my mouse down until I've highlighted the entire data set. I'll let go, and you can see that the parenthesis has now populated with a cell range from A10 to A32. All of my data is in column A. My data started in row 10, and it went down to row 32. This is the notation to select a range. I'm going to close my parentheses, so Shift 0, and hit Enter. Scroll back up. So Google Spreadsheet just calculated the mean, or the average. That's one way to describe where the middle of this data set is. Next, we're going to do the median. Again, equal. Type in the function name, and for median, it is median. Open parenthesis. Again, select our data, so we're finding the median of what values. Those values will be listed in the parenthesis by cell reference. So A10 to A32, close parenthesis, and hit Enter. There's my median. Next mode is, again, equal to let Sheets know I want a function. The function is mode, most commonly occurring value in the data set. Open parenthesis, find the mode of what values. Again, A10 to A32. Shift, close parenthesis, Enter. Standard deviation. Again, hit equal. Standard deviation is STD. As I start to type it, it's finding things. We're going to go with the standard deviation, just STD, EV. Again, choose my data set. Standard deviation is a measure of spread. How spread out is this data? The value I return helps reflect how spread out my values are. Max is going to find the maximum or the highest value in my data set, and it is max. So equals max, open parenthesis, find the max in what range? In this range of cells from A10 to A32. Hit Enter. Same thing for the min. Now equals, min is min. Parenthesis. If you want, you can type in the data set, the cell range, A10 colon A32. Okay, to have an inclusive range from one cell to another in a straight line, you use a colon in between the two cell references. A cell reference always has the column header, the letter first, and the number second. Hit Enter. Range is how spread apart my data was from the highest value to the lowest value. And there isn't a function in Google Sheets, as far as I'm aware at this point, for range. Excel and other ones usually do, but a very simple way to do that is to have calculated the max and the min and find the difference. So I'm not using a function other than just normal arithmetic or subtraction here. So I don't need a name right now. I'm going to use my operator, a minus sign. But first I'm going to take the largest value, this cell, hit minus, and then I'm subtracting the minimum. So choose the cell with that value. Hit Enter, and it's doing the math for me. It's finding the difference between the values in these two cells. I have now calculated the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, the max, the min, and the range. There's a couple cells where I have a lot of decimals, and I'd like to clean that up. I'm going to choose two cells by holding the Control key while I click on the second one. If I click on the Shift key, all the cells in between get highlighted, but I don't want to include median and mode. I'd really like to just reformat the mean and the standard deviation. So holding the Control key allows me to go and choose cells without getting the cells in between. I'm going to reformat these cells to only show two decimal places. I'm going to go to Format. I like to format my cells. The values in those cells are numbers, and there is a number under an option there. And I get an extra pop-up over here. I'm going to go down to the right. And down below I see some options. This is showing me my number, however many numbers, to how many decimal points. That's showing 2. This one's showing 4. You can even choose more formats and custom number options. I really just want to have 2 decimal place values, so I could choose it right here, and that'll fix it. But for next time, if you're looking for a more specific format, choose custom number format, and then right up here you can just type in, maybe you want 3. Put the number of zeros after that decimal point for how many place values you would like your cell to show. Hit apply, and those cells will update. So I'm going to go back to just having 2. Good enough. So you've now used a spreadsheet to collect and sort, or not to sort, but to hold your data, and then to perform calculations on that. This is one of the most basic functions that people use a spreadsheet for. Holding data and doing some analysis on that data. We'll do a couple other things real quick before we get out of here. I'd like you to go ahead and highlight all the words for what we calculated. Let's make them bold and stand out a little bit. Next, perhaps we'd like all of this information to be in a table where there's borders around everything. I'm going to highlight, click, and hold, and drag not just down but over so that the names and the values are all highlighted. And here in my menu, I see borders. I can click the drop down and I have different options. I would like borders around every cell, so all borders. Next, I'm going to put a title at the top of my data. And this is going to be the number of KitKats in a bag. And I'll bold that as well. Again, if I want it to fit inside the column, I can stretch that out. If I want that to be centered, I can go over here and choose horizontal alignment. Drop down, you can choose between left, center, and right. I'll choose center. Okay, last thing. Let's put this into a table. You go to Insert, Chart, and I'd like a histogram. Chart types. Let's see. Usually they'll give you a histogram as an option. It's really just like a bar graph. So let's just choose column chart and see what happens. Insert. And there you go. I can resize that. Just wanting you to see some basic functions in a spreadsheet and what a spreadsheet can do for you. So, easily can record data and hold it, save it for you, and very quickly perform calculations. You can also take that data and put it into a nice presentation, graphical presentation, to show the data in another way. So, here's our number of KitKats per bag as happy trick-or-treaters were surveyed.